welcome to the Board of Health public hearing on Monday, April 8th. Let me take a quick roll call. We've got in the room Kurt Herman, Jill Block, and myself, Mark Haddad. And then on the Zoom, we've got Dr. Randy Kring. So that's 4 of the 5 board members and a quorum for this public hearing. The public hearing is to a chance for the public to comment on and discuss the proposed Board of Health regulation for private wells that's been discussed at prior meetings and has been posted. And so with that, I will invite the public to comment if they have any comments on the regulation that they want us to hear. If somebody wants to speak, I would ask that you state your name and address and that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. So with that, is there anyone in the public who would like to address the well regulation?
Carlene has raised her hand.
Hi, Carlin.
Hi, Carlin Reed, 83 Wits End. I'm a member of the Finance Committee, but I'm speaking on my own behalf, and I have 3 questions. I've reviewed the draft regulations. Here are my 3 questions. Number 1, how are private wells currently regulated? Number 2, how many private wells are now in Concord, to your knowledge? And number 3, if a private well owner tests for PFAS, as your regulations require / suggest, what are they supposed to do if they discover that their PFAS level exceeds the 4 parts per trillion threshold that the town is facing? How's that?
Would you like me to answer?
That'd be great.
All right. So the first question is, what do we currently do now? And the answer to that is we have a private well regulation in place as a Board of Health. So we currently permit private wells. We have the model regulation from the state. It's over 20 years old. The State Department of Environmental Protection updated their model well reg in March of 2023. So a lot of the structure of this is using that modern, and it addresses things like open and closed geothermal wells that were not previously even thought of, right? They weren't really in the common. The second question is there's over 600 private wells currently in use in Concord. DEP has a website that lists all of them. And the last question, the way it's written is the expectation would be the resident would be responsible for remediation.
Okay, quick follow-up. What type of remediation would a property owner be responsible to do? What do you mean by remediation?
They would be required to, it's a filter, apply, work with private industry and provide filtration.
And if I may, an alternative would be provision of an alternate water supply, so either public water or some kind of bottled water.
Okay, one more follow-up on that I promise I'll quit. Does that apply if the private well is not used for drinking water?
So no, they do not. So the way it's written, just to me, is that if you're using it for irrigation or other means, that PFAS does not, you would not have to mitigate that. You're not consuming it. So
Okay.
you could drill the well, it not be in compliance, and then use drinking, like bottled water to drink and eat. If you couldn't deal with the remediation.
Yeah, the testing is for private drinking wells, not for non-drinking wells like irrigation.
Okay, thank you. I think that's a clarification that would be useful if you have another public forum. That it's because I know at least I have one neighbor who does not use their well for drinking water. They're hooked up to the town's water system for drinking, but they use their groundwater well for irrigation and for a pool. Thanks. That's it.
Great, thanks, Carlin. Any other members of the public that wish to make a comment? Yeah, and just to follow up on that last question again, so Carlin, it is in the regulation where it talks about a water supply certificate, it's about, for the well to be used for drinking water. And then I'm just seeing the testing section,
The testing,
and the testing section too, talks about private drinking water wells.
and there's different tests for non-potable, requirements.
Yeah.
For irrigation well, it's on a specifies what the yearly requirements are.
But, and I would just say, if your friend has questions about this, feel free to have them contact the health department. Okay, I see, oh, you're back again, okay. There any participants?
I don't see anybody telling me they're in the waiting room.
No other hands raised?
There's 7, I don't see any hands raised.
All right, last call for public comment. All right, well, hearing none, I will now close the public hearing. So, and I will just ask the board, now that you've seen the final version, we heard from the public, we heard Melanie's responses to the few questions. Does anybody have any questions or concerns about moving forward with the regulation?
Hate to change the trajectory, but one question based on Carlin's question is, if somebody's using water that's tested positive for PFAS for irrigation of their garden, vegetable garden, is that something that would be a concern in terms of application of that water to produce that they're growing with the intention of eating? And should we just have a clarification in there if that's the case, that it's not recommended for that, if that's a problem? I don't know, you might know more about that.
I think it depends. It depends on the levels. It
Mhm.
depends on which PFAS, and it depends on what you're irrigating.
Mm-hmm,
So I think it's a complicated question.
mm-hmm,
I think it'd have to be pretty high levels to be a concern,
Mhm.
but
right, like does something burn off, like if it's out there in the sunlight, is it going to be negligible? No.
It's not gonna burn off.
Right, because it's forever.
It's a forever chemical.
Right, right,
Yeah, I mean, I think the reality is it's sort of everywhere
right,
until we come up with like a scientific solution
Right.
to it, which people are working on. And so, I view a lot of this as you do the testing, so you have the information, and then you're a knowledgeable homeowner and
Right.
you make
right, you decide
your
what you,
decision.
what you do,
Right.
right, okay,
and if someone did have a concern, they could reach out to the Board of Health just to ask that question more specifically for their
Mhm.
situation.
right. Okay, but it never occurred to me until she said that, so,
Yeah.
just it's a kind of a hypothetical.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, we followed the model, the state model, which is about drinking water, not irrigation,
Right,
right? So,
right, it is for drinking, but,
And that would be the exposure pathway that's of most concern for
Right.
PFAS, so I think that
Right.
covers it.
right, and the quantities are gonna be much greater in that case, than
yeah, direct
Yes.
versus indirect.
Right.
and all that.
right, okay. So no other question?
Okay. Dr. Kring, any questions? Just confirming.
No questions for me.
Great. Okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion if anyone wants to move to approve the draft well regulation.
I move to approve the draft well regulation.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Okay, all in favor? We'll do a roll call. Dr. Kring,
I vote in favor.
Jill Block,
I approve,
Kurt Herman,
Vote in favor.
and Mark Haddad. I also approve, vote in favor. Okay, the well regulation is approved. That concludes our agenda for tonight. Before I close the meeting, I'll just make sure, is there anything that any Board of Health members want to raise before our next meeting?
Just a clarification of if there was any updates for when the next meeting will be. I know we had
That is
discussed-
great.
Yes.
Yes, that is a great question. So we were at just talking about that and why don't we, I'll look at calendars right now, actually, if we can do that. Because, you know, it was originally scheduled for the 23rd, which is Passover, so we'd like to move it. We could move it and we do expect that there'll at least be one item on the agenda that we would like to handle at that meeting. I could do, you know, the 24th, 25th, or even 26th, which is a Friday night. But we could also do a morning if we had to, or midday. I mean, it could be by Zoom. It doesn't have to be in person. If we, you know, to me, it's more important we have it than that we find a time that everyone can be in person. So,
You can do the 24th in the evening or morning.
I may be able to move my shift, but I'm currently scheduled to work the evening of the 24th. I could do the 25th in the evening or the 26th in the morning.
I have a conflict on the evening of the 25th. A tentative hold on the 24th all day.
what about the 26th morning?
You have to be really early, like 8.
Yeah, 8. We do 8.
Can you do that?
Absolutely. I like 8 a.m.
Can you do 8 a.m.?
That-
Randy?
Yeah, that works for me. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, why don't we do 8 a.m. on the 26th? Probably better than 7 p.m. for you, right?
I'm neutral.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, but I can be here on Friday morning at 8. No problem.
Yeah, the commute is
But
better.
I'd rather do that than 7 o'clock on Friday night.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I
I'm
mean,
okay with that.
I like, I can do it, but I'd rather do 8 o'clock
Yeah.
on Friday morning.
I do fear that I might actually be speaking too soon.
Okay.
So I'm leaving town that weekend with a lot of other people, so I
Oh.
don't know exactly what the plan is. That's why I'm assuming 8 is okay. But, I don't, is there another alternative? I hate to do that.
I didn't hear one.
The Monday, Monday, the 22nd in the morning. Would that be possible?
I could do that.
If it was first thing.
That would work for me.
Yeah, that would be.
Okay, I don't mind. Doesn't matter to me, Monday morning or Friday morning.
Right, okay. So 8 a.m. on Monday, the 22nd.
Sure.
Mhm.
Sounds great.
Sounds good.
Thank you. We do have one agenda item that has come up that we do need to have a meeting for. Yeah, great.
Okay, great. All right, so the next meeting will be Monday, the 22nd at 8 a.m. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion, I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Great. All right. Thanks, everybody.